Well, hello, everybody out there. It's time for Boomer Time, and I am so glad you're here. I'm your host, Nancy Cogar, of course. And today I have some guests with me. You can probably see them right here. And I think they're going to be really helpful to you. I'm excited that they're here. And especially if you're, in that process of trying to figure out whether you can have mom and dad stay at home, whether you look at private care and what do they need? Where do they go? How much does it cost? Are they going to like it? Right? Those are all things that gone around in my head a million times. And I'm sure that maybe some other things too that you have going on. Well, this is going to be help for you. So stick with us. And I think you're going to take a lot away. And these are nice guys too. So joining me is Will Brewer, who is the director of admissions and operations and a lot of other things that you do there, and Brooke Steele, who is the executive director of both Martin Boyd Christian Home. So for those of you that are familiar with Martin Boyd, because it is right here in Chattanooga, it's a local nonprofit that offers private care to seniors. It's right on Standifer Gap Road, and it's been here 40 years. So this has a lot of lasting power and really become a fixture in the community. So I think from that standpoint, they'll have a lot to offer today too. So first of all, I just wanted to say hello and welcome. I'm so glad you're both here.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. And just right off the bat, I will tell you also that my mother is at Martin Boyd, and she enjoys it there, and they've been very patient and loving to my mother. So we'll give you a plug that way. But more importantly, today we're going to be talking about, the process. So for those of you that have mom and dad at home and they've planted themselves in the chair and are arguing against going somewhere, I thought it would be important to maybe talk about that perspective. So if you've got a parent at home and they're managing, but maybe it's not the best circumstance, or maybe things are changing. What do you think they should be doing? What would you advise those parents, children, caregivers to be doing at this stage?
I think one thing you have to be very conscious of is when you visit, look for signs. Look in mom's trash. Make sure she's got trash from where she's prepared meals and eaten meals, preferably not the meals being in there, just the debris from the meals. Check mom's med packs. Make sure that medicine's getting taken. Just because you're fixing those med packs does not always mean they're being taken properly.
Right. You mean the weekly kind of pack?
A lot of people fix those med packs and think, oh, we're managing mom's meds that way. But a lot of times they're picking and choosing what they take, and they think this is a Tylenol, but it's actually their blood pressure medicine. And so a common call that we will get is mom's messed up her meds. She hasn't taken them right. She's in the hospital.
And you offer a solution for that. So we'll get to that in just a minute. So Will, from your standpoint, if you've got someone that's mom wants to stay at home and she's not going to one of those places, right? So I'm sure you've heard that once or twice.
Just a few times. When somebody comes in and says, what do I do? Mom doesn't want to leave home. It's definitely a game, a balance of not forcing them to do something unless they're in a crisis situation or an unsafe situation. A lot of it is timing. Timing, as we all know, is everything. But starting the conversation early before you get into a crisis situation is my number one recommendation. When you start to notice things like maybe that Brooke has mentioned that aren't quite right, unopened mail laying all over the house, medications not being taken or medications being stashed and hidden, expired food in the refrigerator, that is your clue that mom or dad is not able to really function on their own anymore. And so while you're not quite in a crisis yet, you are headed down what I call the slippery slope. And so I think it's important to start those conversations with mom or dad and say, hey, you know what? Let's go look at some places together. Or let's look at, other options. Because living alone is not going to be the option for very much longer.
Right. And even in that, sometimes there are so many options. And if you don't educate yourself and plan and visit places, you're not going to know what's the difference between one facility or institution or, care level versus another.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And, those are important questions to ask and to research during the process. What are the levels of care at each of the different facilities? And, how can my loved one age in place at these facilities?
So let's say mom, again, I'm talking about stubborn mom. I know. Stubborn mom, and maybe you want to do some legwork. Maybe you want to do some homework and start the process yourself, even looking at places. I think that's okay too, isn't it? Because you know what mom likes and doesn't like, right? So have you seen adult children, caregivers do that type of thing?
Often they'll come look first and then call and say, I'd like to bring mom back to look around. It's probably good on the front end to not take mom to 5, 6, 7 places. Have it narrowed down to 2 or 3 that you are comfortable with. And because sometimes mom's not going to be comfortable with any of them. So you need to say, here are your options that I've looked into, and this is what I think we need to do. Let's go look at them. Let her have some input, but a lot of times more than 2 or 3 is just overwhelming.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And big issue is food, of course, too. So can they plan to have lunch, come by and visit? What would they expect if they were visiting?
Well, I would hope they would schedule to come in and talk to Will, because he does a fantastic tour, and he'll take them around, show them all the options. If it's a meal time, we've had several people that have come in and had a meal, and I will say that we are extremely proud of our meals. So that is definitely something that benefits us. If you would like to have a meal there, that's definitely one of our biggest highlights.
I know ice cream is always a favorite too.
Ice cream every afternoon. Yes. The ice cream shop opens, the jukebox comes on, and it's a good time. Yeah.
Another kind of observation, I think, is people think of the traditional kind of nursing home, and yours is not a nursing home. It's, assisted living, so assistance, right? And then there's some memory care. Distinguish for, people at home what that includes and what it doesn't include.
You want to go? Okay. So we have assisted living, and then we have an advanced assisted living, and then we have a memory care unit. The difference is you have your basic assisted living, where the people are kind of more, I wouldn't say independent. They need med management. They need meals. They don't want to clean their house and mow their grass anymore. But they're still able, to bathe themselves and things like that. Then you've got that middle of the road tier that we have, where they need a little bit more assistance with some incontinence that may be starting, assistance bathing, things like that. And then the memory care is more of a secure unit for elopement risks. Our preference is let's get people into the AL and let them, like Will said, age in place. That way you don't have to leave and go somewhere else. You come and you're familiar faces from the day you walk into the door, hopefully till the day you progress till.
Yeah.
And I think, you touched on something that is one of my biggest passions, and that is our advanced assisted living that we offer. When we talk about, what differentiates us from other assisted living facilities, that is one of them. We feel like that is a niche that not everyone has. And it's for people who are a little bit too acute for regular assisted living, but they're not quite ready for a secure memory care. We offer that middle level where you might have some dementia going on, but otherwise you're still able to do some assisted living. And so that is a good option for people.
Well, and just from a practical standpoint too, I want to talk a little bit more about this after I take a break, but is paying for that care. And I know specifically in my circumstance, as I mentioned earlier, sometimes the transition options are drastic. I mean,
Right.
you could go from assisted living to nursing home care.
Mhm.
And I know everybody wants to try to avoid that. So
Right.
that's a good thing to have. And it's made a difference even in my family. So I appreciate that.
Mm.
With me today, if you're just joining us, or just to remind you, Martin Boyd Christian Home, which is on Standifer Gap Road in Chattanooga. It's right around the corner from me. So give them a call. Go and see their facility. I think you will be impressed. One of the things that I have likened these things to is almost like a college dormitory for older people.
Yes.
You meet friends, you hang out, you've got your private apartment, and you really get to know each other. And I think that's a fair assessment of it. It's what it reminds me of. So, but Will Brewer, who is the director of admissions there and operations, and Brooke Steele, who is the executive director, you're going to stick with me a little bit, and we'll have some more on paying for this type of care and the options that are available, and more planning. Imagine that, planning from me. So stick with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Boomer Time. I'm Nancy Cogar, as you probably know, and we are with Will Brewer and Brooke Steele from Martin Boyd Christian Home here in Chattanooga today, and we are talking about planning. Planning is the most important thing you can do. And what do you do to prepare for a possible shift to a more supported life environment? And how do you differentiate between all those? It's complex, people. It is complex. So I'm glad that you're both here today, and we're talking about this. I did want to mention to you out there, I have a book coming out. It's going to be here soon. You can pre-order that book. It is Boomer Time Blueprint, and it is going to give you a real line-by-line explanation of why you need these things, what can happen if you don't have them, what you need, and how to do it, how to plan, right? So for all those stubborn people out there who don't understand why you need these things ahead of a crisis, give it to them as a birthday present or a Christmas present. I hope it'll make a difference. So, and we also have an event coming up with Martin Boyd, which I'm excited about. It's going to be open to the public. And it will be on March 24th, starting at 6 p.m. So if you're coming from work, you can come over. It's on Standifer Gap Road, and I always have to look at the address, but 6845 Standifer Gap Road. So right off Lee Highway and Hickory Valley, right in the middle there. And you are welcome to come. So what can they expect? I mean, I know I'll be there, but what are you hoping that they take away from it?
Yeah, that's a great question, Nancy. So these seminars, they're free of charge. And our intent with them is to empower people to make the best decision that they can regarding their loved ones. In this instance, we're going to be talking about wills. You're going to be talking about wills, the importance of those, and power of attorney. And I think the title of the seminar is Planning Ahead with Confidence. And we're going to talk about, doing these things while everyone is of sound mind, and getting everything in order before a crisis sets in.
Because sometimes it can be too late. Yeah. And I tell people oftentimes, you don't want that too late option, which is to go down and have a conservatorship at the court. So you just don't want that. How important is it on the estate planning topic? How important is it, or how helpful is it that if they come in with parents and they already have powers of attorney and everything ready, how much does that help?
I think it makes all the difference, because you're not having to make a decision for mom. You are implementing a decision that mom has already made. And I think that is such a comfort to people, because it's so stressful when you think you've got all these decisions to make. If mom makes those decisions for herself, puts them in writing, goes through the proper process, and then all you have to do is implement. And implementing is not hard. That's you still have to find the right place that you're comfortable with, but implementing that can be done. It's when you feel like you've got this decision on your shoulders and it's what would mom do? Well, you don't have to speculate. If you've done that ahead of time, you're not guessing, you're not speculating. It's done.
It's a real gift, really is, from everything from the healthcare decisions to the financial decisions to end of life care. It's really, that's the way I look at it. It's a gift. You don't want to be in those circumstances and then have no guidance from the one that you're making the
or have siblings and you have dealt with that today with a family that called. Brother thinks one thing, sister thinks another thing. They're trying to figure it out, not seeing eye to eye. And
family never argues. No. Yeah, no, absolutely. And that just makes mom and dad more stressed out. So, I absolutely hope, I stay busy, but I hope that people will come to the event, which is on March 24th, a couple of weeks, at 6:00 there at Martin Boyd, and bring your questions. I love questions.
Yeah.
So, and if I don't know the answer, I don't know everything. Yeah. If I don't know the answer, I'm pretty good at finding it.
Yeah.
And we can work on finding it for you. So I encourage you to come. And it's a nice place too. You can come check it out.
Yeah. And the intent is for these to be conversational, not necessarily lectures. Just, ask your questions. Let's banter back and forth because it only helps everyone else in the room.
Yeah. I'm always, I do this for a living. I've done it for a while now, but I'm constantly learning new things. People are all different. So we all bring different things to the table. We bring different circumstances, histories, all of that. So that's part of the challenge, but it's interesting and I think it makes all of us better too. So, okay. So let's talk about money.
Fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's an important piece there and getting a straight answer about money sometimes with trying to choose one of these places or the levels of care is difficult. As a lawyer, I know I joke around, but I kind of mean it that, you go to a lawyer and you're kind of wondering how much it's going to cost you, right?
Yeah.
You walk into a store, you should know how expensive something is. And that's why I've kind of aimed towards making the menu available and they know what they're going to get and what they're not going to get. And one of the things I like about Martin Boyd is you really operate along the same guidelines for that. Tell me about your pricing structure.
Yeah, so that is another differentiator that we are very proud of at Martin Boyd, and that is that our pricing structure is all inclusive. So where a lot of other assisted living communities, other senior living communities at that charge levels of care costs, we don't do that. So what does that mean? Well, we have the price, and what you see is what you pay. A lot of places have a base price and then they start adding other costs depending on what your needs are. And we don't do that because we feel like being upfront and transparent with our pricing helps families know exactly what they're getting into with budget. Because let's face it, assisted living, senior living is so expensive.
Yeah.
And families are more and more having to figure out, how am I going to pay for this? It's a level of comfort, and I see it on the faces every day for people to look at us and go, okay, this is all I have to pay. I'm not going to get anything added to this. This is doable.
Right. Because other places don't operate like that.
Right.
So that's something to be aware of.
Yeah.
Ask about the pricing and you should be able to understand it.
Right.
What about, here's a misunderstanding. What about help for paying for care? There's some of that, but that's a big, I spend a lot of time on that because I think there's misunderstandings about what you can get help for.
Sure is.
And then just being eligible for care.
A lot of people think Medicaid will cover assisted living, and it really doesn't.
No.
Assisted living is pretty much going to be private pay. There are, there's a VA program out there. If you were a veteran or the spouse of a veteran that served during wartime, you didn't have to go overseas. You could have been stateside the whole time. But there is a VA program that will pay you a monthly stipend. It pays directly to the person, and then they turn around and use that for their expenses, which would be their monthly fee with us in our situation. Other than that, it's private pay. And we understand that. And we understand that most of our residents are on a fixed income. I mean, that's just the season of life that they're in. They're drawing on Social Security, maybe a pension, but pensions don't hardly exist anymore. Those are few and far between, to be honest with you.
Yeah, a lot of those guys have kind of died out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Some of the other options that you have for paying for assisted living include selling assets, property, vehicles, and let's see what else.
Long-term care insurance.
Long-term care insurance.
I don't see that very often, but when you do have that, that's something to keep.
Yes. And I had someone tell me the other day that you can get a rider on your life insurance policy to draw against your life insurance policy for
cash
care.
Value. Yeah.
So that is also another avenue that people may have as a resource that they don't even realize that they have.
Investments, any investments that you have, all the different types, annuities, things like that.
And that's why I work with a lot of financial advisors too, because there's a right way to do this and a wrong way to do it. And, the things that they're talking about are complicated. You don't want to sell your house by yourself. You don't want to transfer it away to son. Those are the things that are going to cause big issues. So, yes, it's being more strategic about what you have and making it work for you, really. So,
and a benefit that we have is after a resident has lived at our facility for a year, they can apply for an endowment program that we have.
Okay.
Now, there are guidelines. They do have to fit, a certain criteria that the policy is set forth. But that is an option after people have lived there for a year that they can apply for.
And that's because you're a nonprofit. Yeah.
And that's because we've had some generous end-of-life gifts, very generous end-of-life gifts. Some churches that give to us monthly that goes straight into that fund that is only used to help subsidize rents for residents that qualify.
Yeah, and I talk a lot about my faith and the faith community being an important part of this as well. So Martin Boyd is part of the Church of Christ affiliation. Yeah, so there's that available to you from the standpoint of knowing that someone's on the same page as you is very helpful. And in endowments, a big part of that, of course, is estate planning. And if you're out there and you're a solo ager or you're someone that can't stand your kids and you want to put it in a place where it's going to make a difference, those are the kinds of things you can do through estate planning. So important to be mindful of that. Let's talk about the kinds of care. Let's say you move into assisted living. What kind of care are you going to get, and what are you not going to get? What's going to be available to mom and dad? I'm thinking things of when you move in, meals are all covered, for instance, medicine management, those types of things.
You're going to get all of your laundry done, all of your housekeeping done, 3 meals a day. We're going to oversee and administer all of your medications. We have a nurse on site 24/7. So if you need blood pressures checked on a regular basis, blood sugar checked at 2 a.m., we've got a nurse there to do it. Anything that the doctor writes orders for along those lines. You're going to get assistance with daily living needs, bathing, dressing, toileting, if that's necessary. Things you're not going to get. You're not going to get wound care. We can't do that. You're not going to get lifts. We can't do that.
You can't even do that in the state of Tennessee.
Right. Those are guidelines by the state of Tennessee, which is our licensure, that doesn't allow us to do that. It's not that we choose not to. It's just that we're not allowed.
And although it's got that apartment feel, most of the time with assisted living, you find there's private apartments, but you've got a nurse and nurse's station nearby in each of the wings, right? So that's available to you too.
Yes.
Yeah, the nursing component, that is also a huge part of what we do. Most people don't realize that not every facility out there has a nurse on site 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We do. And I make sure that families that come in and I talk to know that. So that is an important question to ask when you're touring around. Does this facility have a nurse on site 24/7? If they don't have one overnight, who's responsible for administering medication? Those medications can only be administered by certain people, certain licensed people, and those are very important questions to ask.
Yeah, that is important. Some facilities may have CNAs there, but that may limit them, I guess,
They
from what
can't
they're
administer
doing.
meds.
Yeah.
In the state of Tennessee.
Yeah. So, okay, another practical question for you. So, what can mom or dad bring with them, and what can't they bring? I mean, I see dogs, cats, furniture. A lot of times they got lots of stuff that that takes some downsizing. But they have to leave it all. Can they take some? What can they have in their space?
Their living area typically contains a bed, maybe a small couch, chair, TV, chest of drawers, things like that. Things they can't bring, a hot plate.
That sounds like a fire hazard.
An electric blanket, a heater, a space heater. They do all have their own heating and air conditioning in their room that they can control on their own. Weapons. We had someone that moved in one time that we found a whole tray of silver in her room, butcher knives and all. So we had to remove that and call the family to come get it. They didn't know. They just brought the whole piece of furniture and didn't look to see what was in it. So things like that are prohibited by the state, but for safety reasons. But just whatever makes them comfortable. We've had people not bring beds before. They're like, Mom doesn't sleep in a bed. We don't want to take up the room with one.
Reclining chair,
recliner. Yes.
I always say less is more. And a lot of people think they have to bring all the chairs and the big bed and all the side tables. Really,
it's cramped pretty quick.
That's because you're a man, though. They want their frou-frou knick-knack.
But really, they just need a place to sleep. They need a place to sit. They need furniture to put their clothes in. Maybe a chair for someone to sit and join them to, chat. But we walk in some rooms and they've got so much stuff in them you can hardly walk around.
Yes. And when we had life safety inspection, he was like, "Whoa, this room has a lot of stuff in it."
Yeah, it's time to pare down. So.
Yes.
Yeah. One thing I think may not be obvious, but is an important thing, just like college again, is having change of sheets, comforters, towels. Those are not provided. It's not a hotel, but having those things, additional things, especially if there's, incontinence or something like that, those are the things they have to think about.
Right. And toiletries, things like that.
Yeah. So, well, very helpful. If you have a question, I would imagine that they could call you and ask a question.
Absolutely.
So, what's the telephone number they should call?
423-892-1020.
Okay. And we'll have that up at the end too. So if you missed that, we can have that up at the end so you can note that. I want to talk about security and protecting the residents. Before I do that, this is something that comes up from time to time. And it may be more family strife than anything else, but some people are difficult, How do you deal with difficult personalities?
That's a great question. I think we both have different answers.
Right,
for that.
Probably. I think it always depends on the person. I tend to find a lot of times it's just in how you approach the person, and you have to approach some people different. I had a grandmother that lived there. I loved a caregiver that would go in and say, "Miss Francis, we're taking a bath. We're getting up, we're taking a bath." But not everybody responds well to that. Some people need I'm going to be back in 30 minutes and we're going to get a bath. Are you okay with that? Would you like a bath today? So it's all in a huge chunk of it is approach.
Yeah.
A huge chunk of it. Yes. And taking your time. Don't rush anybody.
And
you can't.
If we know that someone doesn't respond well to certain people, then we will not send those people in and we'll send someone else that they do respond. So there's lots of little tricks and things that we can try to get good results and have success.
And just like any other place, I'm sure you have guidelines. The people that are on the right side as far as being disruptive or being difficult, there are security measures for people like that. You need to keep everybody safe, right? So, yeah.
Yeah. We don't have too many problems with that. There are sometimes there's medication adjustments that can be made.
A lot
know.
of times that is a medical issue. When you
Yeah.
have somebody to that extreme,
Yeah.
I can think of one situation where it was just a safety concern, and we tried and every way we could. And finally the daughter was just like, I'm sorry. I don't know how else to help you. And she just had to take him home.
Yeah.
And that's not what we want to happen. We want to be able to help you and, partner with you. But that's
Right.
the only time, and I've done this a long time, that's the only time I can remember that we've ever had that situation happen. But it was
Yeah.
a concern. Our other residents were scared.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we had to take that into account.
Yeah. So that's an important, factor to consider. I don't have that come up very often either, but there are standards that are
Mhm.
there. So any surprises that come up for you when people come? I don't know. I don't mean it as a in-depth kind of investigative question, but the people that are there, I start talking to people and they always have some really interesting background and stories, and wow, it's more interesting than at my house, I tell you that
Yeah.
much.
Oh,
So
yeah. Sometimes if you just sit and talk to the people, it's fascinating, some of the stories. We've got a lady there who grew up in an orphanage and ran moonshine up and down the river. I mean, it's just some of the stories you will hear if you just sit and talk to them. I love sitting and talking to the residents and just visiting with them because their backgrounds are so different and so different from each other, but so different from any reality that I even can picture.
Right.
Just because, there's a huge gap in generations.
And I think, to Brooke's point, we've got a lot of different people from different backgrounds, different careers, different denominations of religion even. So it is a place for everyone, and everyone can thrive. Definitely at Martin Boyd, but at other places too. But we love bringing new people into the fold, and it's neat to watch them make new friends and get to know, I have all the time. This is a funny that comes up from time to time. A family member will come in and want to talk to me about moving mom or dad in, and they'll say, well, she's difficult, or he's difficult. They don't make friends very well. They'll just stick to themselves. And I kid you not, those are the people that we find out and about, holding court with everyone, just enjoying the community. And that's
finding
what we love
connection.
to see. Finding the connection.
Yeah, I see that a lot too, so for people out there that concerned about mom and dad connecting. My mom's not real outgoing, generally speaking, but they're moving into a place where they have a common kind of background, personal experience from the standpoint of, the times that they grew up. And or they meet people that they know that are there, so that's,
I had
that's
a
good
conversation with someone today, and I think it was very eye-opening to him when I said, when your parent is at home in this season of life, a lot of times they're surrounded by things they can't do anymore. And that's always on their mind of, oh, I can't do that. Oh, my son's going to have to come do this for me. I can't do it. You move them in a community of people that are just like them, and where all those things that they can't do anymore, everybody else is in the same boat and getting the same things done for them. And so it's just, they're just one of the flock.
Yeah.
And
Want to be useful.
not, and we try to surround them with things they can do. We have life enrichment program that is geared toward what they can do, what their strengths are at this season of life.
And events that you have there. Yeah. Oh, and speaking of which, we'll put this up at the end too, but there is an event coming up that someone I know is going to be at. That's me. But I'm excited to do it. I like being out and talking with people. So March 24th at 6 p.m., it's going to be called Planning Ahead with Confidence. And you know how important planning is to me, and I want you to have confidence. And we're going to talk about the whys, the whats, and what ifs. So if you are living near Martin Boyd or not, you are welcome to come. It's open to the public, right? And it's free. So a good opportunity there. One other kind of little tacky issue that I want to talk about that comes up is driving. Okay. So see, there are not a lot of options when you're at home. Right? I mean, you could Uber. They don't seem to like to do that very much because it's a stranger and it's complicated, technology wise, and cabs, Carta, that's not going to work. you guys offer an alternative for getting places, which is another benefit.
Mhm.
Talk about that a little bit.
We do provide transportation to doctor's appointments, things like that. On certain days of the week,
Right.
we have someone there that will drive them to doctor's appointments. We prefer that a family member meet them there because we are not going to go into the appointment with them.
Right.
And, more often they need someone advocating for them. And that is not our role in that. But we will get them there, help them on and off. We have got I think it's a 16 passenger van / bus.
Mhm.
It's handicapped accessible. So if they're in a wheelchair, you can get them just right in and out of it and get them where they need to be.
Yeah, and that's troublesome sometimes too if you're at home, because if you have a wheelchair or walker or something like it's hard to get into the car.
Well, and
Yeah.
houses don't have space for that. Houses
No.
weren't built to accommodate things like that.
No.
And along these same lines, it's important, I think, to mention that we try to bring as many services into the building for the residents that we can.
Okay, you
Or,
can get your hair cut there.
haircut, therapy services,
Podiatry.
nurse practitioners come in. So we try to be as accommodating with that, including the transportation as needed. To make it easier on families and residents.
Well, I think this has been really helpful. I think we've covered a lot of territory, and I think a lot of practical advice, I hope, for you out there that are thinking about some of these things. You've got to tackle these things early and be observant, as you said. So start the discussion and check these things out, right? So you can make an educated decision. And anything you want to add quickly in the next minute or so that I didn't cover, or a final thought that you had for somebody?
I can't think. I could think of a million final thoughts. Don't wait too late. Don't let yourself get in a crisis, because then you're panicking to make a decision. You've got a lot of different things coming at you. We're seeing more and more of that. If people are waiting too late.
Me too. Me too.
I think, if you're listening to this, obviously you've got some skin in the game. You're either looking at, a move coming up in the future. It never hurts to have the conversation with, people like us at Martin Boyd. We're happy to be your guide. We want to guide you through the process. So we welcome questions. Call us up. Send us an email. We love to get the conversation started.
Yeah. Well, and I can take that from personal experience and just tell you that I've had, I'm familiar with a lot of places, and there are a lot of great places out there, and some others that if you don't know what they don't do, then that can be troublesome. But I will say that you all have been very kind and patient, and
Thank you.
And that's appreciated. They'll go the extra mile for you. So based
We
on my
do try.
experience.
We do.
Yeah.
I pride ourselves in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes, just like I have sometimes you don't have an answer, or maybe you could have half an answer and work towards the other half. But important thing is to plan. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
It's been
great.
terrific. And, from the standpoint of, I love resources. So I like getting those things into people's hands. So we'll put some of your materials in a link on the website, nancycogar.com. And again, tell folks how to get in touch with you. If they've got questions, they want to come visit, they want to come to the event.
Yeah.
They call you, Will?
Yeah, call us up. Our phone number, 423-892-1020. Our website is martinboydhome.com. You can search the socials and find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. So we try to be everywhere that we can be. And you never know where we're going to show up.
Yeah. Well, I welcome you to come back to Boomer Time anytime you want. So,
well, I love talking about this.
Yeah.
This is my sweet spot.
Yeah.
Me too.
And I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We want to keep your quality of life intact as you get older. That shouldn't be a reason for just not trying to do that. So, yeah. All right. Well, thank you. And thank you. I like these kind of conversations too. And I'm glad that if you've stuck with us, which I hope you have, that there's more resources online, as you know, at nancycogar.com. I've got some outlines. I've got sample questions you can print out, different types of planning resources. Important thing is planning, of course. So that's at nancycogar.com. Keep an eye out for my book, Boomer Time Blueprint. If you need an appointment, you can call me, 423-892-2006. That was pretty fast, but how about 423-596-7202? Or go to my website, nancycogar.com, and you can connect with me there. So would love it. And I will look forward to seeing you guys on the 24th for the Planning with Confidence event. And bring your questions. So thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.